Turin, a city once known for its elegance, industry and unmistakable Italian character, the birthplace of Fiat. Grand piazzas, old cafes filled with locals, and generations of families building a life beneath the Alps. But walk through the city today and something feels very different. Not just economically, spiritually. Over the last decade, mass migration into Italy has transformed entire neighborhoods across Turin. In some areas, the Italian language barely feels dominant anymore. Shuttered storefronts, growing insecurity, rising tensions, and locals quietly admitting that the city that they grew up in no longer feels like home. And it's not just in Turin. Across Europe, more and more people are beginning to ask the same uncomfortable question.
Europe is in serious trouble.
How much change can a society take before it loses the culture that made it special in the first place? Today, we're walking through the streets of Turin to see the reality for ourselves. Not the polished version tourists are sold, not the carefully managed image shown to you on travel YouTube. To understand what everyday life actually feels like in a city caught between its proud Italian past and an uncertain European future.
Jesus is in the Epsteinfeld, apparently.
Welcome everybody to Torino, a 2,000-year-old European city in the northwest of Italy. We're glad to be back somewhat here in this beautiful country. And we're starting our day off at Porta Palazzo, Europe's largest open-air market. So let's do a deep dive into Turin and see if it's just another city that's being crushed under the foot of horrific EU policies. So the vast majority of the things that are actually for sale here in the market is things like niqabs, things like hijabs, carpet sellers, rug sellers, and then you have spices, a lot of fake jewelry and stuff like that as well on offer. So it's no different than if you were to go to a souk, for example, somewhere in Morocco or somewhere in Northern Africa, quite literally, and I mean that wholeheartedly. And as usual, in every other city that we show you guys all throughout Europe, the buildings, the old historical buildings, are destroyed, literally destroyed, by graffiti, trash, a lot of trash, a lot of homelessness, a lot of weirdos standing around screaming into nothing basically. And a lot of times, if they even notice that I'm recording, if they realize that I'm recording, they'll just attack you. Look at this. Graffiti, stink, open air toilet. It's a common theme all across Europe, literally all across Europe. You can just watch one of these videos and apply the same thing, same playbook, all over Europe at the moment. It's insane.
This here as well is northern Italy. A lot of Italians actually say that the south of Italy is worse, the likes of Napoli, Palermo and so on, which is correct to a certain extent, but in the north you can see it and it's slowly coming in here as well. So I don't know, wait a few months and it's going to be the same situation here as you have in Palermo.
When the sellers are saying shukran instead of grazie, you know you have a real issue. Welcome to Morocco, everybody. Okay.
So the official numbers for Torino are just about as they say in the entirety of Italy. They just like to say that about 9 to 10% of the people here are of foreign-born origin, but looking around here, it seems more like 8 out of 10 are, so probably 80% and 20% locals. That's what I would say here, because it's kind of weird to be a European here, I guess.
You know, the EU publishes numbers and people talk about how many actual illegals have actually come in to Europe over the last sort of decade. And I'm telling you right now, the statistics, the vast majority of the statistics, if you come and experience these types of cities for yourself, you understand immediately they're lying about everything. All of these numbers that are being published, plus you can't actually track the numbers of people that don't have documents, that don't have names, that don't have IDs. These people arrive here without those required documents, obviously. They literally burn their passports or throw their passports away or flush their passports down the toilet. You can't actually track the numbers. There's no way of accurately saying, you know, 5, 15, 20%, etc., etc. But what is very tangible is just coming to places like this market, walking through, taking it all in and understanding what the demographics are. It's rapidly changing, and it's every day a new city that we're going to and experiencing these changes firsthand. And we can tell you guys, Turin, northern Italy, southern Italy, Western Europe, all of it it's going in a very, very, very bad direction.
It's also the situation in Europe at the moment where a lot of people obviously get naturalized and their families then become naturalized as well. They receive a local European passport and then they will immediately be recorded as such. So if, I don't know, somebody from Morocco comes here, they get an Italian passport after a little while, they are going to be recorded as an Italian. If they commit a crime, if they, I don't know, whatever they might do, it's going to say this Italian man did XYZ, which is of course inaccurate, and it's also kind of changing the numbers quite a bit at the moment. It's unfortunate.
Wow guys, Porta Palatina here in the center of Torino. This is a 1st century Roman city gate that was built during the reign of Augustus, believe it or not. And it's quite literally around the corner from the actual market as well. It's fascinating to see it. It's so well preserved. Gorgeous. There's very little actual wear and tear on the wall itself, and it's standing beautifully, contrasting against the chaos actually of modern day Italy in the back. Beautiful to see it though, up close and personal, and you can actually walk through the arches themselves too. I don't know about you guys, but I can remember growing up in Europe in the 90s. This used to never happen in the public parks anyways of Europe. It's full on third world here in Turin. Every green space that we're coming across is like an encampment of homeless people, of homeless illegals. They trash the streets with garbage, and it is widespread, literally widespread all throughout this city. All of the green spaces you will either see homeless, drug-addicted locals or alcoholics, or freshly arrived welfare migrants, of course. What would a stroll through Europe in 2026 be without this? Garbage plastered all over the wall, spray paint, little scribbly tags on ancient buildings, old buildings, 100-year-old buildings. And then you have these types of people that just come up and put whatever identity they think they have all over the wall in multicolored garbage. It's horrific, and this is literally like plague all throughout. If you watch any of our videos, I've said it already, you watch one of our videos, you can copy and paste, and it's just the exact same in the rest of them. People try to say, oh, it's only certain cities in certain areas, or it's only certain towns in certain areas. We've already covered Milan, we've already covered Napoli, we've already covered Rome. This is just another edition. It's everywhere. It's not just select few places. We're not only picking certain areas and highlighting the drama and clickbaiting or anything like that. We're just showing you the honest reality of Europe right here.
And then if it's private property with these houses as well, your aunt or your uncle or your grandmother has to pay for the removal or remove it themselves basically on these historical houses. Or if it's a public house, our taxpayer money in Europe will of course care for that, I guess, at some stage. A dead man doesn't rape. Why don't we maybe start not getting so many people into our countries that whose culture it actually is to rape women? Just reading this makes me so angry, because obviously you are just including every single man in that. You are including our sons, you are including the armed forces that are actually helping defend your country and the people of the city. You are including police officers, you're including a lot of men. You are including your own father, you're including your own grandfather, everybody. How can you do that? That's, I don't know. The feminist movement just gets me, as a woman myself. I don't know, it just makes me so angry. It makes me so outraged that I genuinely cannot find words anymore for it. It's just ridiculous.
Now, we're going to venture into two of the supposedly worst areas. Aurora and Barriere di Milano. So right now we're currently walking through the streets of Aurora, and believe it or not, the place where numerous crimes take place on a daily basis. In fact, there was a man just recently, 2 months ago, brutally assaulted in the streets because he won a little bit of money from like a scratch card or something, and two North Africans beat him unconscious in the actual streets. So now we're going to go for a walk and see what the general feeling is like, because there's only so much value that we can bring across to you guys in showing you the typical center historical area that's going to be a lot of times heavily shielded for the tourists that come here. Now, in terms of tourist numbers, I think Torino doesn't get nearly as much tourism as a lot of the other places like Pisa, like Rome, like Napoli, for example, or even Milano, actually.
It's a little off the beaten path. Usually people that do come here obviously because of the Shroud of Turin,
yeah,
and some Roman architecture that you can still see. But other than that, usually Turin is a little kind of off the beaten path.
One of the reasons why I would come here is just outside of Turin. You have the Barolo region, which is one of the greatest regions in probably all of the world for wine. So they have a lot of wineries, and it's the perfect climate, especially with the Alps up here in the north of Italy, for growing some incredible wine. In, I think, Naomi and my opinion, Italian wine, best in the world. There's no debate about it. Primitivo.
No CPR. You find this tag everywhere in Turin, by the way, which I assume has been put there by the likes of Antifa. CPR doesn't stand for resuscitation, but stands for, it's short for detention and removal centers. So what they're saying is they don't want illegal migrants, if their asylum claim has been denied, they don't want them to be detained and removed from the country. So they're basically saying no deportations. Jesus is in the Epsteinfeld, apparently, according to the locals of Turin. Are you guys okay? Insanity.
It's the most disgusting. Can you imagine someone saying that about Allah, for example? Allah is in the Epstein files. If I was to spray that on a wall, even here in Europe, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't get to the end of it without having a knife stuck in my throat. Welcome to Barriere di Milano, an area known to be quite literally overrun with illegal migrants, loitering around on the streets, drug addicts, you name it. Third world. Look at the car, guys. Windshield completely smashed in. What a fucking disgusting area, I'll tell you that much.
It's crazy how it changed from feeling totally normal and fine to really scary and unsafe.
Horrific.
Yeah. But like within one street crossing, yeah. These areas are entirely off limits, by the way, at night time. If you do ever want to come to Torino, make sure to not go to Aurora or Barriere di Milano.
Yeah, these are no-go zones.
At night, yeah.
As soon as the sun sets, you do not want to be here. Just keep that in mind, guys. We're walking through here at daytime just to show you how sketchy it is during the day. It's midday currently, yeah.
He was selling to the local Italian woman.
Yeah, they're selling drugs to locals here, out in the open. Every single female other than Naomi is wearing a hijab in this area, by the way, just so you're aware.
I did not know that you stopped walking.
Upon yourself, say, let me
Here. This is insane. Look at how filthy everything is. This entire area is just completely non-Italian. Maybe you'll have a few of the vendors here. I'll tell you what, it's incredibly low percentage, guys. Look at this, guys. They don't even maintain any of the areas, like the public grass. There's trash everywhere, syringes everywhere, stinks of piss. Can you imagine living here? You're paying your taxes. You might work a 9 to 5. Some people might work multiple jobs just to survive in these areas. And then the government, the EU, imports thousands of these savages who are just literally dealing drugs open day in the middle of the street, on the main street. We just walked through the main street here, one of the busiest ones in Barriere di Milano. I can't even say the name of this area, Milan barrier area. And on that street you just had, as we just shown, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 Nigerian dudes, North African dudes, just loitering, hanging around, sleeping on the streets, fighting each other, dealing drugs, very obviously dealing drugs. And it's all accepted. Police don't do anything, literally nothing. In fact, police openly get attacked very commonly alongside other people as well. So it is very much a lost cause situation in these particular areas of Turin. And as you saw in the busy market, in Europe's largest open air market as well, that also was 60-70% non-European. So the largest open air European market, majoritively non-European. Can you imagine going to, for example, let's just throw it out there, you want to go to the largest open air market in Asia. You go there and everybody in Asia just looks like Naomi. Like everybody in the market just looks like that.
I'm just gonna sell sourdough bread.
Yeah.
That's all you can get. It's all just sourdough bread.
So you fly all the way to Asia and then everybody just looks like Naomi and I. That's the reality of what it's like here. People are coming from America, coming from Asia, coming from all over the world to visit a lot of these places and these markets. And then they get to the market and they might as well just have flown to Morocco. You might as well just take a flight to Lagos in Nigeria if you want to experience that. Because at least you'll get the full experience if you actually fly to those countries. You will genuinely feel and taste that culture. You can't do that here in a lot of the European countries. Italy doesn't feel like Italy. France doesn't feel like France. Look at this building, by the way, just over here. This is the public spaces here in Torino. So this, I'm assuming, used to be a public bathroom. And it is annihilated, destroyed, smashed up, sprayed over, and the grass is like almost at waist height. So no one cares, no one gives a crap. It's all apathy. People are just black-pilled about Europe.
Here specifically in Turin, by the way, the police did try to intervene with Antifa and with the foreigners here. And in a case only recently in January, more than 100 police officers actually got injured because Antifa kept there was a protest and Antifa started throwing Molotov cocktails and rocks at police officers, and a lot of servicemen got very, very badly injured. And there was actually a case that was pretty large in the media, specifically because the Winter Olympics were in Milan, not that far from here obviously, and the entire protest, because of how locked down Milan was, actually sort of moved towards Turin and then escalated in the city of Turin itself. So Giorgia Meloni also criticized that obviously in the media, but there's nothing really you can do. And I believe a lot of the police officers here very, very likely are scared to intervene if bad things are happening. You can see if police officers are walking around, they're sort of walking around in like groups of 10 or so, like they're not by themselves because it's just too dangerous.
Giorgia Meloni also, since she's gotten into power, things have seemed to they've gotten a lot worse in Italy. So I think that in terms of her being in power and this thing about having high hopes for her, I think she knows how to talk. Things are getting worse day by day, in my opinion. I've visited Italy now multiple times over multiple years, and every time I come to a new city in Italy, there's more issues, there's more poverty, there's more homelessness, and there's a lot more illegals that are very obviously taking over different areas. So.
The thing that Giorgia Meloni does, by the way, she just kind of makes the numbers look nicer. So she decreases the amount of illegals that are coming to the country by going to their country and giving them a work permit so that they can come legally.
Yeah, she's the work visa queen, basically.
Yeah, so you still have lots and lots and lots of people coming from the likes of Pakistan, from the likes of Nigeria and so on, under the disguise of needing workers, basically.
Yeah.
And then, well, the same amount of people are being brought in, but under a legal number, basically. Excuse me. So yeah, so she does the exact same as the other European countries, and she disguises herself as being a right-leaning leader, but her policies just do the exact same thing in the end as what all of the lefties are doing. That's why we keep saying to you, it's not left versus right. It's good versus evil, because left and right are just the wings of the same bird, basically.
Even walking along here, guys, beautiful, by the way, scenic river. I'm not sure what river it is, but all I know is that all along here you have just incredibly highly skilled workers just, chilling everywhere, and it just makes the whole atmosphere feel so safe. I can imagine just being, a solo female walking through here. Just amazing. Just real authentic Europe. Yeah. The unbelievable amount of garbage everywhere. It's like just it's unreal. So it's every sort of 100 meters you just have these, just in my opinion, just absolute bottom feeders just hanging out, very obviously not here looking for work, not here looking to do anything else. And that's the thing, yeah, this is supposed to be
The nice part.
One of the nicer parts.
We're really close to the dome.
Torino.
And
we're close to the dome.
Yeah.
We're close to a lot of other stuff. I just want to show you guys this here. Look at this graffiti. Disgusting. Look at this.
This is the
provincial building here. Completely trashed, destroyed, abandoned, forgotten about. Everything is closed down. It's gone.
An office of the commune.
Yeah.
This is like the city office.
City office of Torino, yeah. So there you go, guys. Here probably used to be a shop back when people felt like they could carry on their daily life here in Italy. So, and we're going to keep walking, by the way. There's another group, 2-3 more groups of alcoholics, of homeless, of migrants, of North Africans. The numbers are never ending because, see, the thing is they literally respawn like a video game characters, whereas white Europeans, we're not reproducing because we can't afford to, because we don't, all of us don't live on social welfare. It just blows my mind that Europeans accept this type of behavior. It just really stuns me.
A lot of these small shops that we used to have around here as well, they have a lot of merchandise hanging outside, and I think a lot of them are closing down because people are just taking the stuff from
Exactly.
outside.
Look at this. It's just filth. No one cares either. No one cleans up. No one does anything.
Beer bottles everywhere.
Beer bottles everywhere. Syringes everywhere.
Public bus station of the city.
This
so
is the
where
public bus
tourists
station.
arrive.
Yeah, this is where all of the tourists arrive on buses into Torino. So you immediately get off here, and if you want to walk along the river, you're immediately greeted with Mahmoud, Mohammed, and all of the others. Unreal, really.
Glass everywhere.
Yeah, so this is another thing. Shattered glass.
If you're a woman and you're walking around with flip-flops or anything like that, don't do it here.
Good luck.
It's very dangerous.
The crime speaks for itself as well. Northern Italy, actually, believe it or not, Milano is categorized as the most dangerous city, and Torino, being only a 2-hour drive from Milano, experiences much of the same, not as high in terms of reports. But I'll tell you what, guys, the areas around here, just walking around, I wouldn't live here if you paid me $1 million. If you paid me $1 million a year, I wouldn't live here. And the same goes for a lot of the rest of Europe as well.
Italy, by the way, is now the country with the highest debt in the entirety of Europe. The debt in Italy is actually higher now even than the debt in Greece. Not relative to the economy, but still. And like, under which circumstances do you guys as Italians think it is you are in any way capable of providing aid to other people? Why, like, if you already have so many issues, why do you think it's a good idea to bring more people in that carry their own issues, that need financial help, that obviously are going to need help to integrate, to find work and so on, if you can't even provide an environment that is safe for your own people, where your own people have enough work, where there's enough places in the kindergarten for the kids to actually live and go to school and all of that. It's, I don't know, to be honest, I'm lost for words here, because it's not a situation that is suitable for a European to live in. We as Europeans, we are proud people, and this is just, now we are starting to live in the dirt like we're some cockroaches, and I don't think it's okay. I'm sorry.